Okay. Nice, short, simple, sweet. What's up, y'all? Welcome to In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 145. The title of this episode is I Need to Get Nita Soon. Okay. I'll give you some context before I even get through the intro, and then we'll get into the episode. This is actually a really big episode, and it's funny because I've been so convicted and prompted to just make this episode. And it's weird because it doesn't seem like an In the Image Clothing Company Podcast episode. Not really, because what we do here is have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, but I've been so prompted, it's been a good little while now, to talk about this on the podcast. It's going to be an entire podcast episode in itself. Nita, Nita, is the name of the first dog that I will have under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. That's one of the fourths of In the Image Clothing Company. And yeah, so I'm going to just talk about this, why it's such a need, actually, and that's why I say it's kind of weird. It's almost silly. This doesn't seem like an In the Image Clothing Company podcast topic. But like I'm saying, I want to give a little preface before I even get through the intro. This isn't a want. This isn't some desire of mine. This isn't a hope or something to just get a pet. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company as a whole. And through In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, the amount of what we do that is encapsulating all of what In the Image Clothing Company is huge. And I can't do that without poodles. And so it's a need. I just want to make it very clear. I'm not sitting here on a podcast just like pouring my wants out there into some place that I want to claim as something that could maybe possibly fulfill my hopes and desires as a fleshly human being who's selfish. No, this is a lot. This is a lot of, a lot of things that will come from poodles, and we have to have a first before we can have many. She'll be the first of many. Okay, so we'll get into it. It'll be the whole discussion here. But yeah, there you go. Now you know a little bit of the other fourth of us, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. I've told you what this is, In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. If you've been here before, you know. But today is the 11th of July, 2025. Yeah, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. So I'll talk about each of the four sides of In the Image Clothing Company and where clothing sits, and then we'll get into this discussion. And all of what I'm feeling right now, it's not some emotional thing about like, that's why it's so weird, okay? There is so much that goes into this. That's why this is an entire episode on its own, and it just doesn't seem quite right to me, but it feels more right than I could explain. I've been so prompted to make this, and I've been putting it off. Okay, so the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, really what we do is allow the human body to work. That's the point of where we started. That's why it's our main side. Clothing's placed onto our bodies, and it's the only thing that is physically. Our bodies are just a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. Similar things as to what I'm going to describe here, we do with dogs as well, okay? So that's one of the big things with needing to get Nita. Okay, but yeah, clothing has to stay centered, fit correct, where I'll discuss in a minute, and be made from 100% natural materials to allow our bodies to work. You can never train the human being. People try to, and it doesn't work. And that's why, is because it only has the operations it does. Everything in the body only has a neutral, every joint. Like the wrist here, something easy to show visually through video. Neutral wrist allows rotations through the forearm. It allows the fingers to track in line. If your wrist isn't within its neutral position and residing there, unless being used in an otherwise different position for just like specific functions and then coming back to its neutral, then the body will be damaged. So straight out from the pinky finger from the outside of the forearm, that's how your fingers can actually work, opening and closing without binding up. That's how, like I was saying, the rotation can freely happen up the forearm. Look at how loose my forearm is compared to what you can see in early documentations under the gift of video when it comes to In the Image Clothing Company content. Okay, I mean, you can just see how much mobility is in my forearm. There should be, naturally. There's just ranges of motion given to us by God And that's what we do. We get into chronic patternings and scar tissue through clothing imbalances and patternings that get shipped across the earth, and they're the same anywhere you go nowadays in a lot of cases, right? Just because they can. We have airplanes, we have, quicker ways and easier ways of shipping things than we ever could have in the past with the internet. So, yeah, clothing's the only fix to human beings' physical problems, and we address it. We also discuss eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, hydration, breathing, really all the things we do as a human being and how to do them naturally, just how to let the body do what God designed it to. And that was such a beautifully casual rhyme. That was cool, if I'm saying it. In the Image Clothing Company, music, another one of our fourths. I show the sizing and setup of guitars to not alter the body. We're doing fine little motor skills with our hands. Our hands are essentially our shoulders. As the feet are essentially the hips, the body just is all one. Anywhere any of it goes, all of it comes. We can't alter any of it without something else trying to compensate, which can't even happen because it's all together. I also am a lyricist. I make music. I place it on In the Image Clothing Company music. We have Metronome Madness. We're on episode 8 as of today. That's when I made that. Where I just go off the top with wordplay and don't have a metronome. And so the tempo kind of fluctuates. It's all over the place. It's really cool. Unorthodox and untraditional, as I am. Okay. So, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. As I was saying, I need to get Nita. She will be our first dog. We breed purebred standard poodles, registering them properly under the American Kennel Club, advocating for what it really means to register your dogs and why. It's a birth certificate. It documents your dog's bloodline and genetics and history so that we know where good dogs are coming from, so we know how to further good bloodlines of dogs. And yeah, we do a lot of advocating. We do a lot of events. Poodle parades is what they're called. You can bring your purebred poodle of any size or poodle mix of any size, and as many as you want, right? Bring a harness and a leash, a collar and a leash, or a slip lead, something to restrain every dog you bring. Everybody's responsible for their own dogs and them, right? Injuries to their own dogs and them, right? All these things. Everything will be always very, I don't want to say very clearly explained, but just because, like, if I forget to say something, hey, right? But yeah, we'll clearly label, what you can and can't bring to poodle parade events, and disclaimers, what to expect at the location that each one will be at, because it will differ, right? Here in the state of Utah, the United States of America, it'll all be on InTheImageClothingCompany.com, like a flyer, right, for each event. So poodle products, which really can be used for any dog, but collars, leashes, harnesses, all the things that we end up getting into selling under In the Image Clothing Company. Same intent behind human being clothing, okay? Staying centered, fitting correct, being made from where we can with the dog products, 100% natural materials, because there are buckles and things like that that aren't quite the same as what we would have on human being clothing. It's easier to get like a generic t-shirt to just be 100% cotton than it would be to get like a harness to be entirely 100% natural materials, right? I word it like that just because don't hold us to a higher standard than we could reach, right? But yeah, products, InTheImageClothingCompany.com, poodle puppies when the litters come, InTheImageClothingCompany.com. Okay. Now, where clothing sits for everybody is the same location. If you are anybody ever, the pants that we wear need to be entirely above our hips, so there's no restriction to our hips. They need to be slightly higher in the front than the rear for the waistband angle, because that's just our neutral hip or pelvis position vertically on Earth's gravity. Okay. 2 feet oppose the center line of the body. They grip inward, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw, which naturally stabilizes the entire body, are all in the center. Okay, that's just how it has to work. So we went over pants just now. The tops that we wear have seams on top of our shoulders. They need to sit evenly behind the peak of our shoulders. Now I'm sitting down. Sometimes when you sit, your shoulders round forward like this. The seams kind of move, right? But our shoulders only ever work behind our head. That's just where they connect. And the shoulders follow shoulder seams, okay? The edges of our tops should be just right at the very edges of the functionality of our shoulder joint. As close as we can get to that. It's just where the shoulder functions, okay? Two things we have as prerequisites under In the Image Clothing Company to not alter the body. When we weave ropes across the top of the human foot and call them shoelaces, well, there's only one way to, without altering the foot's mechanics and its neutral position, gripping arches, traveling through the neutral ankle, up the lower legs, natural outward curvature, and then supporting the whole body, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's shoelacing technique is what we title how to do that. With it, we tie our shoes, and we do that evenly on both feet, over toward the center line. Opposing knots on opposing sides of the body makes it even toward the center of the human being. Okay. Secondly, our other prerequisite is to remove all tags from clothing included within shoes. Anywhere tags are placed, they're just causing either a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or just not allowing musculature to activate, and then the body's trying to compensate, but it can't. Everything has a role to play. That's why it's there. Tags in clothing didn't even exist a few decades ago from today's date. Stretch in clothing didn't even exist a few decades ago from today's date. Okay, these things are really altering the human being very much so. Okay, things like the dreaded collar seam modification. Things like that. Okay, in the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. We have a lot of free modifications we show. And that's a lot of what I do with people too when we get in person, is just show free modifications in clothing, okay? You don't have to purchase In the Image Clothing Company clothing to allow your body to work. That sounds ridiculous if I'm saying it and I'm the founder, okay, of In the Image Clothing Company. So no, we help people out. Because as of today's date, I still haven't ever worn anything yet that we could label In the Image Clothing Company clothing, okay? But I know what's needed. I know how to modify things, and I know the anatomy of the human body in depth, and I discuss it very, very, very deeply. Yeah, shockingly deeply. Okay. So, yeah, like I said, 145 is this episode's number of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. This is titled, I Need to Get Nita Soon. Now, like I'm saying, I'm kind of just going with this. I'm just going to roll with it and say as much as I need to. However short this episode ends up being, however long this episode ends up being. And if it does cut off, it's like I've had happen in the past, right? Storage space potentially ran out if I didn't do a proper outro and stop it intentionally. So, yeah. Yeah, okay, so Nita. Okay. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, under 1/4 of us. As I said a little bit in the intro, In the Image Clothing Company poodles, I've made it very clear we will have poodle parade events, and not just like maybe one a year, not just a few in my lifetime. We will do it a lot in the state of Utah, in Utah's beauty. Okay, on In the Image Clothing Company poodles, I made a video titled Poodle Parade Events in Utah's Beauty. On In the Image Clothing Company podcast, there's an episode titled Utah. And most of what I talked about in there was just the environments of Utah, okay? The mountains, the fact that it's a desert, okay, how beautiful it is and how diverse, all sorts of different types of terrain here, okay? So, I, Evan Strong, being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, I live here in Utah. I'm staying here my entire life. In the Image Clothing Company and Evan Strong are one, as that episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled. So this is where we are, okay? At least for the life of Evan Strong as a company, is the state of Utah, the United States of America. This is the big thing is, well, I'll finish what I was saying. We'll have many, many, many poodle parade events, okay? In the wintertime, I don't know as of right now exactly how they will look or how many we will have, okay? Because snow, cold. And I'm not so fond of the snow or cold. And I'll be the one hosting the events. And I just don't know yet. But that'd be great to do as well, because we can give a lot of information. The whole slogan and, goal under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is letting dogs stay natural. And I could give a lot of information on dogs just experiencing snow. So this is what I mean. I don't know for sure exactly how everything is going to look event to event, okay? Because we'll have a lot of them, and like I'm saying, I just don't know quite about winter events for poodle parades. Just, I just don't have it all planned out yet as far as those go. Well, as far as anything goes, I don't have it all planned out yet, but right. The point being, it's going to be one of the main things we do under In The Image Clothing Company is poodle parade events. Because, as I've said, we'll have ones titled Clean the Creek Poodle Parade events, where we actually clean up trash in rivers and areas like that, okay, with water. The dogs can be in the water. I can give information on how to, let dogs navigate terrain they're not otherwise in. Naturally, we'll get dogs used to water. We'll get people used to water, right? We can play in the rivers with the dogs. And this is what I mean. There's so much that will come with this, and a lot of it will be able to be shared through anybody who comes, right? We have our devices. We can film things and share it with others, show people what we do as In The Image Clothing Company. We really do a lot for the environment in a lot of ways. So cleaning up the trash, we will be actually physically cleaning the environment, but then also advocating for doing so by just sharing what we're doing. And that's great, because then other people can see, right, things that really benefit our Earth that we're doing as a company. It will build the credibility of our company as well. With the goal being natural under all four sides, we really do all that we can to keep the Earth natural, keep our bodies working natural, let dogs stay natural, okay? So this is, the thing is, I don't have any poodles yet, as of me saying this right now on today's date, okay? And I have to be able to have dogs that I can bring to poodle parade events, okay? I can't really make all that many more videos on In The Image Clothing Company poodles than I have as of today's date without having an actual poodle to show, okay? I mean, I can sit there and I can speak facts about poodles, or, really I could explain basically all the things that we ever will do with poodles, but the point is to have the dogs, right? They're, like I've said, a member of our team, just like the team, right? All the employees that we ever have under In The Image Clothing Company, or me as the founder, the poodles themselves are just as much team members of In The Image Clothing Company, and always will be. So I need to get Nita soon, because there's not much more that I can really do in a lot of ways without having her, okay? Just because she's the first one. We'll have many, many poodles, and after Nita dies, because she will, okay, dogs die, we'll get other poodles. Well, we'll already have other poodles as well, but, right, I just mean I need to get her, dude. She's the first one, so she'll be the first one. That's the point, right, with needing her so much. It's an actual need, because where our actual house, as me and my future wife and kids and all the poodles, is located here in Utah, that will be determined by having a proper place to have the dogs, right? We need a decent property. We need a good house that the dogs can just totally be in without having things be complications for that, right? Our building that we have under In The Image Clothing Company, where our products will be, I just don't want to word this in a way that's not quite exactly how it's going to be, but, right, shipped out, that's what I'll say for now, where our team will actually be working, the building that can have the poodles be inside of it as well, right? So that this is what I mean. All of this has to be determined by the dogs, by the poodles, because we're going to have poodles for the life of this, at least for the life of Evan Strong, like I'm saying, okay? Under In The Image Clothing Company, that's huge, is poodles. That's like just such a massive part of what we are. So this is the point. I can't fully know exactly where we are going to settle down as far as, like I'm saying, our building and my personal house, until we have dogs and get that kind of, started to be sorted. And we can only do so much without dogs. So this is what I mean. I need to get Nita quick, soon, from today's date forth. I need to, and it's a really big need. I need a truck. I'm not just like pouring out my needs to people to like complain or to have people like do it for me. I want to be clear of why I'm saying this. Like I said in the beginning, this is context on the future of In The Image Clothing Company. This is me, like I said, putting this off for a little while before now. I've been prompted to say these things, and I haven't. I've said some of this in some ways under some episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but I need to really say what I'm saying here now. Okay, I need to get Nita. Okay, because the reason I mentioned getting a truck too is because it doesn't really matter, right? Who knows what kind of vehicle I drive or whatever. But this is what I mean. A lot of what we'll do with under poodles and letting dogs stay natural, right? Oh my gosh, is stuff like keeping your dogs in the car when you go into a grocery store, or you're running errands and your dog comes with you. How do you leave them in the car without them overheating in the heat, without them getting too cold in the colder months, right? This is what I'm saying is I need certain things for the company's sake. I've got a lot of information. I've been, in all absolute seriousness, that's why I pause, that's why I take a break and say this like so clearly, given by God. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to stretch this on how this is going to look, okay? Down to certain details that are pretty detailed, okay? And this is why I'm saying this the way that I'm saying this. And this is why it's an urgency for me to get Nita. I need her. It's not me. It's not like a need that I need fulfilled. I'm not lonely and just need a dog for a companion. I'm not lacking something that I think she might be able to fulfill in my life. And she's not going to be the only poodle we have. That's what I mean. I'm saying this for the sake of all that we're going to be able to do under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides. Dogs will be incorporated. When I say dogs, we're only going to have standard purebred poodles. Us, as like the people behind In the Image Clothing Company, okay? Me, Evan Strong, as the founder. On In the Image Clothing Company music, you know, I've mentioned it, but I can make videos with poodles in the frame, and I can play some guitar, and it can be this whole thing, okay, for the sake of actually being a beneficial thing to make, content-wise. Okay, we are going to help so many dog owners out there with understanding how to just work with their dog better, how to get their dog to work with them better, how to have an actual relationship with their dog instead of looking at their dog as an accessory or a pet, but it's an actual family member, right? All the things we do to help advocate for keeping dogs out of shelters and having unwanted litters, for example, right? When it comes to proper breeding and advocating for that and how to, and why we really register dogs, and why I say the phrase a mutt is a mutt without being offensive, because there are really cute dogs out there that are mixes, and we allow mixed poodles to come to Poodle Parade events, right? But this is what I mean. All of this stuff that we do, I need dogs to do it. Poodles, standard size, purebred, AKC registered. Nita, the first one. Do you see what I mean? There's a lot to this, okay? There's a lot to this. There's a lot to this. I keep saying things like, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm playing the long game. You know, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Fine Wine. I talk about how this will just get better over time, and these early videos will be better once time goes by, because you'll see why they were structured the way they were. Podcast episodes as well under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, right? The things that I'm saying. I am really structuring things to last forever, truly, actually, and it will. That's what I mean. That's why I've done it the way I have. I've prayed through it. God has guided me, because I don't know what I'm doing, but I know what to do when I get prompted to do it in the moment, and I'm doing that, okay? And I have, and I will continue to, the best that I can. I'm sinful, okay? By nature. Adam fell. That's why. Yikes. This is the whole point. Is that all these things that I'm saying. We will do a lot, because, dude, I mean, we're going to have a lot of poodles. You have to groom poodles. They're like human beings. Their hair just keeps growing if you don't cut it. It'll just keep going. So we will be able to show how to groom poodles. We will be able to show how to bathe poodles, how to do poodles' nails or claws, whatever you want to call them. Okay, this is what I mean, dude. Us having dogs is not just... Again, every time I say dogs under In the Image Clothing Company, we will only ever have purebred standard poodles, which is big. Okay, they're big dogs. They're large dogs. But this is the other thing. Things like collaborating with other companies. Okay, I've mentioned Pure Harmony, the dog food brand. and my hands are up, right? I haven't talked to them yet as of today's date, but okay, being able to do things with other companies, we need to be able to do things with them because we have things that are required for that. To work with a dog food brand or anything like that, you need dogs. Okay, so yeah, and by the way, anytime we ever, work with another company, as in the Image Clothing Company, we're doing it for benefits on both ends, like a symbiotic relationship, right? We'll help them and they'll help us in the ways that happens, okay? Just for clarity, I'm not just expecting other people to do things for us just because and for free. Yeah, maybe for free, but then, we do things to compensate them, like advertise, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. This is a lifelong thing. This is big. This is eternal, okay? And it starts with having one dog because you have to have one to have any at all. Okay, even if I got two dogs at once at the beginning, still, I need at least one. And her name is Nita. This is what I'm saying. So, Poodle Parade events, they're just going to be huge. I can't do it without dogs. I can't even talk about scheduling of them, like, very specifically without having Nita to take with me. Okay? Yeah. And the other thing is as well, this is kind of a big thing. This is big to see. We can't breed dogs until they're at the age that they can be bred. Okay? And people have, I don't care what people have. I'm not even going to say that. Not that I'm like hiding anything. It's just some people like to say that there's different times that you can start breeding dogs. No, really, the dog should be, I'm not even going to say a certain number of time in age. But there's a certain age, just for the sake of, I don't want to make it all cut and dry, right? Because I get it. There are times and places for things, like I say. But a dog needs to be sexually mature, okay? To be able to get pregnant, to be able to be a mother to puppies and have healthy puppies. And for her to be healthy, right, she's got to be full grown so her body can handle it. See what I mean? So we're going to be breeding poodles, and we could do that anyway, but I'm choosing to do it the way that I'm prompted to do it. It's not really me choosing it. That's what I mean. Okay. Nita will be the first, and I've said she'll be the first one in the breeding program as well. And I'm getting her as a puppy. So she needs to be able to have time to grow old enough to where she can physically be a mother to litters, okay, before we can have litters from her for health reasons, right? Just because that's how it works with animals, human beings even, right? I mean, there's just an age of sexual maturity before you can healthily impregnate a female animal. We'll word it like that because, yeah, that's right. That's what it is. That's the way to word it. Yeah, so that's the other thing about me getting her soon. We can't even have her first litter until she's old enough to. And if I'm not going to get her for some time from now, then we would just not be able to even have litters come from her until that much more time. Okay, and things take time, and it's not my timing, but it's God's timing, and he's saying very soon, I need to get Nita. This is great. This is what I mean at the beginning when I'm like, this doesn't quite feel like an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as far as like what we would talk about within it, because this is where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things. But this is what I mean is this is all promptings by God, and for anybody who maybe knows as of now, and that we're going to have standard poodles, because I've said it so often, I've made it so clear in the intros of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, I talk about each of the four sides of the company, and one of those is In the Image Clothing Company poodles, and I discuss it at least to a degree where you have an understanding that we'll probably have quite a lot of poodles by what it sounds like he's saying, right, is what you might get from it. Well, yes, that is the case. A lot of people might not really realize, if there are any people that know about this now before we have had any poodles yet, what we're actually going to be doing with poodles, and why I keep saying it's so big, why I keep saying In the Image Clothing Company poodles will always be a big name in poodles, why I keep saying we're going to do so much to do all that we do through advocating with poodles, purebred standard poodles, right? Giving this context here and now, the 11th of July, 2025, really helps clear a lot of things up for those that don't quite understand why I am talking about standard poodles so much, okay? Because so much will come in and through having standard poodles. That's why, okay, in the Image Clothing Company. So, yeah, we have a lot that will be coming, and it has to come for it too, okay? Yeah, we will do so much, because even just to be able to have In the Image Clothing Company dog products, collars, leashes, harnesses, whatever else we get into, I need dogs, purebred standard poodles, to show the products in the ways that we're doing it. I mean, we're doing it the way we're doing it for the sake of why we're doing it. Oh my goodness, okay? I speak out of example. I do things first. I go before I tell people like what to do. Okay, and so me having Nita living with me, going everywhere with me, doing everything with me, then I'll be living this whole explanation of what I give when it comes to letting dogs stay natural. That's what I mean about allowing the human body to work. All the information I give is stuff that I have done first, okay? The ways that I know how clothing needs to sit, the ways that I know how the body eats and breathes and stands and sits and walks, and I know the anatomy in depth. It's because I personally live these things. So, having Nita, I will be personally living the things that we will then discuss and already have as well, right? But, okay, out of personal example, yeah, right, under In the Image Clothing Company poodles on letting dogs stay natural. So this is what I mean. I need her. It's an actual legitimate need of me and this beautiful dog, Nita. Okay. There's actually an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Nita already that I've made before this. Yeah, I mean, you know, probably at least a couple tens of episodes back from this one. So this is what I mean, okay? I just want to make it very clear. I have a lot coming as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company for the sake of helping people, for the sake of changing lives. We can talk about service dogs. We can talk about, oh my gosh. So this is what I'm saying, okay? And we will be working with people in the ways we will. I'll say it like that. Other people who are big names in dogs. Other people who are really good at this, that, and the other thing in the avenue of dogs, okay? We will collaborate with people who are good at what they do, who stand behind what they say, who have good values and morals, do things naturally and proper, because we will always do things proper under, well, all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? I'm very intentional in the things I do. I don't care about much, as I say, but the things I do care about, I care a lot about, and I dive deeply into. That's how I know things that I talk about in such depth, right? If you hear me discussing things, sometimes it's like, holy cow, is this kid just like going to keep going on and on? Because yeah, I get talking about things so detailed when I do, because yeah, I mean, I'm intentional about the things that I care to do at all. And I love poodles so much, purebred standard poodles. I love them, and I love them. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, feeding poodles, right? I can't really just sit here and talk about it and have it be as impactful as me having Nita and just, you know, showing it. I mean, like, we just document, you know, what we do, and you'll just be able to see it, and you can just watch it happen as I'm discussing it, rather than me just trying to, like, sit here and explain things. Just and that could be a way to do it. That's what I was saying earlier a little bit, but that's not how we're doing it. Okay? That's not how we're doing it. So, Nita, there's this level of urgency. A lot's going to change in my life, physically, location-wise. Okay, as I've been discussing, alluding to, talking about lately, and I don't need anybody to care about me. I don't, right? Like, I'm not just sitting here, like, just telling everybody, like, hopefully you care about my life because that's great. No, those are not my intentions behind sharing my life publicly on In the Image Clothing Company. I'm sharing things to give context, to show continuity, to show things like this where I'm discussing things that haven't happened yet, and then they do, to be a testimony of God and personal revelation and how that really actually is real and it works the way that it does, and that God is who he says that he is, right? There's a lot of stuff that I'm doing through this like this. So I don't need you to care about like what I care about as far as like what my favorite dog breed is, or any opinions on why I think something's the best. But if I'm talking about why something's the best, it's because of the reasons behind it that are actually really beneficial, right? I mean, I get into things deep. Like that's why I'm doing this at all, right? Is giving good information. There's so much that comes through this. So I need to get Nita soon. The title of this episode of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 145, right? That's why I'm saying this. That's why that's the case. Because it goes into everything. There are some people out there that don't treat dogs the way that you should treat a dog. It's like some people have kids and they don't treat their kids the way that you should treat a kid. And so it's things like that, again, advocating. That word is huge. Being an advocate. I mean, in a sense, we are advocates for Jesus Christ. As disciples of Jesus Christ, we're advocates for good owners of dogs under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Yeah, so my whole life, it's not just like I'm going to have pets and yeah, they're part of our company, but they're just pets. No, and a third no. Okay. Our dogs are our family. And you'll see this through what we do. This is what I mean. Everything will be backed up by the actions that I take, right? I'm not just making claims. That's what I said earlier about the continuity, right? Things will line up. That's a big reason for just speaking this at all before it's ever happened. Okay. So, Nita, what is this? I was looking at that. I didn't know what it was. It was a piece of lint. That's all it was. It looks kind of like a caterpillar on my carpet. Yeah, she will help us with a lot of things as a company. And she will go with me everywhere. Okay. The way that like a service dog goes with somebody, and I'm not gonna say for sure, but Nita definitely will have every possibility to be a service dog, as far as like what that means. Okay, because she'll be registered, and poodles statistically are the second smartest dog breed on the earth. Okay, in the ways that they have measured that, whoever they are, right? You just look it up, and that's what it is as far as the testing they do in the ways that happens. So yeah, she can be registered as a service dog. I'm gonna say it like that for now, just because she'll be able to go everywhere with me. Okay, we'll do what we need to do what we need to. I'm gonna say that. I'm being as vague as I can while being as clear as I am. Okay, without saying anything that's not quite exactly how it will be. That's why. But yes, okay. So yeah, I mean, I need her because she'll be kind of like the face of In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And again, Nita will die, okay? And we'll have other poodles as well. After Nita, we'll have another dog and whatever. And it's funny because even that in itself, oh my gosh, this is what I mean. She will help with that as well. Some people get so attached to dogs that they don't ever want their dog to die because they don't think a dog could ever replace that dog. And it could, okay? Just like human beings, I don't want it to sound bad like people are just replaceable, friends are just replaceable, or significant others are just replaceable, beautiful dogs are just replaceable. That's not what I'm saying, but in a sense, kind of, right? All we need is our God, and our God provides all that we need. Wow. I didn't even mean to say that on both ends like that, but that's beautiful. And that's what I mean, okay? So it's not just about Nita, as in she's like going to be the best dog in the world and nothing could ever replace her. She'll be awesome, and I'll love her like crazy. Okay, but she's just the first dog, dude. She's yeah, she'll be my girl. She'll be my dog. She'll go everywhere with me, but it's so much that's going to come with it. So that's what I'm saying is, in order for me to do what I need, if you're watching in visual plus audio of In the Image Clothing Company podcast instead of just audio only, you could see I was starting to like look around as I was saying that. This is what I mean. I'm looking around at my life, kind of like metaphorically, but like literally at the same time. And it's like, to do all that I need Nita. I do. And very soon, okay, a need, a prompting from God, a personal revelation, as in he's revealed to me that we are extremely close to the time of me receiving my purebred standard poodle puppy registered through the American Kennel Club named Nita, who will be the first of many under In the Image Clothing Company, all four sides, but especially and specifically In the Image Clothing Company poodles. Okay, I'm making this as clear as I can make it. And I'm making it very clear. I need her. Like, actually, I really legitimately need to get her soon. So, I'm saying this because of what I was saying about I'm looking around. Like, I'm looking at my life like, shoot, I'm not worried, I'm not nervous, I'm not anxious about it, but there is a level of urgency. And I've had this idea in my mind of an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast I can film titled Hurrying versus Rushing. Okay, if that's not the title, it'll be something like that if we make it. No promises, but I probably will. Because there's a distinction between the separation of hurrying versus rushing, right? You can do something very quick because it's just got to be done and you can hurry and get it done. Or you can rush through something and kind of not do it proper. I need to hurry with certain things. There's a level of urgency in certain things when it comes to God's timing. And he's the way maker, the one that will make a way out of anything and everything no matter what. He will always make it happen if he needs it to happen. We've never missed an opportunity. He's the God of second and 1 zillionth chances, right? Just meaning infinite chances. But yes, right, it's time to really get Nita very, very soon. So I'm just making it clear because, yeah, where I move to, like I was saying, it's going to be determined by her and being able to house her and being able to be in a place that just makes sense for all that we'll do. Okay, under the company. This is real. I mean, this is lifelong, eternal. This is my income, monetary value-wise, for life, right? I'm not just making some kind of big old thing about a pet. I'm making it as clear as I'm making it, okay? You'll see. That's why I'm making it at all, so that you can see it. For all the reasons that needs to be had. Okay, so yes, this is big, and that's maybe all we'll say here, but there you go. Okay. Shoes, dogs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, shoot. Yeah, part of it's just her needing to grow up. To be able to have puppies as far as the urgency goes. Like I said, that'll be a big thing. Yeah, okay. But I need to get her as a puppy because I need a bond with her from puppyhood. Because she's going to experience a lot. That's the big thing with her is we'll have a lot of poodles and a lot of them will have a lot of experiences, okay? They're not just going to be like a puppy mill where they're just in some cage and they're just there to be bred. No, our dogs, that's the whole point. Letting dogs stay natural. All of our poodles will be given a lot of beautiful experiences, okay? And as we have poodle parade events, the team can be in charge of poodles. I'm almost certain I've mentioned this. It doesn't really matter if I have or not, I guess, but I need to. Under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, okay, the poodle parade events, There's going to be a lot of them in a lot of different type of environments here in Utah, in a lot of different ways for 4 reasons that are different, but almost always just about the same as well. Okay? Wholly vague, but clear at the same time. Yes. Yeah, that's how it will be, right? Different locations in Utah for different reasons. Some will be mostly for giving information on dogs. Some will be mostly for just getting together and having a good time. Some will be mostly for the environment, but the dogs will be there as well. Some will be mostly for, right, different things. The owners of the dogs rather than just the dog. Yeah, there's going to be a lot that comes through this. So what I'm saying is we'll have a lot of poodles, and our team, the employees, okay, team members, they're not just employees, but yeah, our team, like our family, really, truly, like the dogs themselves, like anybody who's ever a part of In the Image Clothing Company. I used to word it like that a lot. It's a, I make it a point to not call this a business. It's a company. It's a community. It's a familial place. I've said that since the very launch video of In the Image Clothing Company, when we only had one side to us, and I didn't really know what I was going to be getting into quite fully at the time. Okay? That's what I mean, is our team members, employees of In the Image Clothing Company, will come to Poodle Parade events and be able to bring other poodles of ours, right? So that I'm not just like, so that I'm not just taking one dog, because I'm not going to be taking like 3-4 dogs on a leash and trying to be hosting a Poodle Parade event where we're on the move and we're out there walking and, in rivers and like on mountains here in Utah, right? Where I'm also discussing the anatomy of the human body as well, okay? And just hiking naturally, walking over uneven terrain naturally. This is what I'm saying. There's a lot that comes with this. It's really, really big, like really big. So that's why I'm saying it like this is, Nita will be like my personal girl, my personal dog. And all of our dogs will be our dogs, right? But she'll be the one that'll be like my left-hand girl, if you will. I say left hand because you put the leash on the left side, and then your body's working in a better position when you're right-handed and you're in a chronic right-handed patterning because of the right-handed world. You see what I mean? Information that we'll talk about at Poodle Parade events. This is real, as far as how big it is and how impactful it is. If you don't see it yet, that's entirely fine. I'm going to just keep going, okay? I'm going to keep laying my bricks, as I say, in the building of In the Image Clothing Company. Every little tiny thing I do for this is building it bigger. And there you go, okay? For the life of Evan Strong, at least, okay? And then, yeah, if someone takes over when I'm gone. Okay, so this is the whole thing, dude, is I need Nita. I guess to finish my thought with that is, yeah, that's just some context I was giving there. We can bring a lot of dogs in the ways that we will, and like I'm saying, Poodle Parade events will vary on how they're structured because they'll be even scheduled for different reasons, okay? But, we could bring 4 or 5 plus dogs of ours that are within our program, and each one of our team members could just be in charge of one of our dogs, and they can be delivering information at Poodle Parade events as well. But this all starts with Nita. This is what I'm saying. And so a big thing is, I just thought of something with that was a big thing. Nita. I don't know. If I remember it, I remember it. But anyway, she needs to come soon because all of this that I've discussed and then all of what this branches into as well, right, has to start with one dog, and that's Nita. And the Poodle Parade events, dude, you'll see. I mean, I've been talking about it, right? If you know, you know. Like, there's a reason I've been talking about it so often, so deeply, before it's ever happened. Those Poodle Parade events, yeah, you'll see. It's not even something you gotta care about dogs to benefit from. Oh, man. You'll see. Okay, so I need to get Nita pretty darn soon. Now, I've been thinking about shoes. I don't know, I just keep getting so convicted to talk about shoes in this. I mentioned it earlier. I said something about shoes, and it might not have even made much sense. You can see I'm kind of flustered in this. I need to get this out today. Like, literally, today's a date. Like, it's essential for today, the 11th of July, 2025. Being the day that this specific episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, episode 145, titled "I Need to Get Nita Soon," is made. I don't know why. It needs to be today. So this is big. I keep looking at these shoes. I just don't want to feel like I need to say something that I don't need to say, or talk about something specific that I don't need to talk about right now. But yeah, I mean, just hiking. It'll be so many hikes, dude. So many, and not necessarily like big, super treacherous hikes, but just spending so much time in nature. I mean, even off-roading, we'll incorporate that. I love off-road vehicles. I've had a lot of experience with that. Okay, these things that come, even like camping type stuff, giving information on how to do these things with dogs, right? A lot of people have dogs and they want to go camping, but, well, I don't know if this dog will be okay to camp with. Or, okay, this is what I'm saying. Things that change people's lives is what we do under all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Threw in a little bit of a rhyme to kind of, I don't know, just show how much this means. How much it means to me, because I'm only doing things under In the Image Clothing Company that my heart is fully in. Because like I said, I don't really care to do anything unless it's something I care to do. Okay, but also how much this means for the earth, for people, for dogs. Dude, some dogs just get treated like trash. You shouldn't own a dog if you're not going to love it, right? If you're not going to give love to it, is what I mean. It's a whole thing. There's so much we'll do, and I need Nita to do it. I can only do so much if I don't actually have a dog in talking about dogs or giving information on dogs. Okay. I need to get Nita soon. So, there you go. There's your context. Because, yeah, I mean, she'll be everywhere with me, dude. And this is the other thing, too, is, dogs, their lifespan varies. And anything could happen. I'm not expecting Nita to necessarily live 15 years. But our dogs will live about 15 years, right? The ones coming through in the Image Clothing Company Poodles breeding program. We're going to do things really properly. I've mentioned, we'll have dogs in guardian homes where they'll actually live with other people, except for the times when we actually breed them. Okay, just because we're going to have more dogs in possession of In the Image Clothing Company's Poodles breeding program than we will actually personally house, okay? And so there's a lot that's going to come, and Nita's just the first one of all of it, dude. Yeah. Even music will be benefited by having Nita and all the dogs that come from her, meaning after her. Holy cow. This is, dude, it's as real as it gets. So yeah, I need to get Nita, okay? Yeah, I mean, the hikes are going to be crazy cool, dude. I mean, even the people that come to In the Image Clothing Company Poodle Parade events, I mean, just photography locations that they'll be introduced to, wildlife and wild land and nature photography, landscape photography. I used to be a photographer, okay? Like a good one. I had a professional camera, like, we're gonna do a lot, bro. It'll benefit photographers, and it'll benefit wildlife lovers and nature lovers, hiking lovers, people who, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate it right now. Camping people who love that, off-roading people, people who want a trail dog for biking or hiking. Okay, we'll give so much information through standard purebred poodles. This is so awesome to document because of the date, because this is all being said before it's ever happened, so that you can see I had a vision for all this. I had a prompting and I followed it. I'm doing this because there's a lot behind it, not because I just have some kind of fun idea. Okay? And that's so humbling to me. So I need to get Nita soon. And you'll just see it. Okay? You'll see why. That's what I mean. I am so emotional right now. It's unreal. Such a gift. Just this moment. Just to feel what I'm feeling through this. It's crazy. Okay? Man, I mean, she will turn hearts, dude. Literally, actually. A lot of people just have a lot of bad views on dogs, and they've probably just interacted with pretty bad dogs. There's some pretty bad dogs out there. There just are. Just like there's some pretty bad people out there. There just are. And so, us having good dogs, we will turn people's hearts around toward their views on dogs. And large dogs, too, you know? Because we'll have them. Our dogs are going to be big, dude. She's going to change a lot of people's lives. And I've said this. That's like I said. I made a whole episode titled Nita. I might cry, dude. I mean, I was kind of tearing up there for a second. This is real. I mean, this is real as it gets. So, I mean, you just think of, historical dogs. And I'm not expecting it, for the sake of the recognition at all. I don't want it. But, you think about dogs like police dogs or firefighting dogs or mascot dogs. There's certain dogs that really, really helped in a cause and spreading awareness for something that was important, life-changing, and really involved either all or pretty much all people on the earth. And that's a lot of how this will be. Okay, that's what I mean, dude. It's so much that will come through having Nita be the first. Okay? Walking dogs and how to, for the sake of the human body not being altered, for the sake of the dog not being pulled on from one side to the other, and their joints not being restricted, and their breathing not being restricted. All the things we advocate for under In The Image Clothing Company. And that's what I mean is it intertwines. The main side of In The Image Clothing Company with allowing the human body to work intertwines with In The Image Clothing Company poodles and letting dogs stay natural. Because as owners of dogs, we have relationships with our dogs that benefit each other on both ends. And that's really what we're aiming to do is benefit. And sometimes it's really hard for people to have dogs because they just don't know how to do things in ways that aren't making their lives harder. And dogs can just so much enhance people's lives. Dogs can get people and children closer to nature and closer to God. Oh my gosh. And I can't quite show all these things and have the impact through all these things that we will if I don't personally have dogs to do it with. So I need to get Nita soon. I'm so grateful that I'm saying all this in this episode of In The Image Clothing Company podcast on the date that it is, because I don't want people down the road ever having the opportunity, is the point, to say, oh, he just started to do things that sounded good as time went on, or what, you know what I mean? As I've been saying since the founding, we've been doing the same things since the founding. I've been saying the same things since the founding, and that's how it always will be. In the Image Clothing Company Poodles is our newest fourth. We've only had it for a few months here. So we're still essentially at the founding of In the Image Clothing Company Poodles being all that it will be, because really, the founding dog to it is Nita, and she hasn't come quite yet into our possession as In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, so I'm saying this now because when it all happens, like I say, we don't do things haphazardly here. We don't do things just like willy-nilly. I've said it like this, like we are planning things before it happens so that we do it well, properly, long-lasting, eternal, and just right. I mean, there is a right way to do things. There's only one way to weave a rope across the top of the human foot, right? Like these type of things. This is what I mean. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled There Is Only One, and I talked about a lot of that. There's only one way to do certain things in life. And I'm trying to do everything that we do here to the best of what we can, the best way. There you go, okay? So, beautiful Nita. There's a lot that goes into it. Coat color is one of the big things that kind of boggles my mind. I don't know. When it comes to breeding, there's a lot, especially with poodles. Everything, they've got these like letter and number abbreviations of like, you have a dog with this genetics and it could produce a puppy with this color of eyes and this color of coat and this patterning. You know, it's a merle poodle, it's a tuxedo poodle, it's a party poodle, or it's a, you know, solid color poodle. And it's like, there's a lot that I don't really know yet. And that's the thing is, Nita will just, she'll help with it all. She'll be my first footstep into the door of being a big name in poodles under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, because she'll teach me a lot. She'll teach me how to be a good parent for my children that come, and she'll teach me how to take care of poodles deeper than I know as of yet. And then, you know, all of her offspring, and then dogs that also just come from other dogs, right? Because we'll bring dogs into our breeding program in the ways that we do from other people, okay? It's not all just going to be only from the bloodlines of Nita, right? And if you don't quite understand how that works, it's just, you know, genetically, you can't really, you need to broaden the gene pool. You know, you can't breed siblings with siblings without having complications. Like in human beings, okay? I feel like people probably know that more deeply understood than with animals, but it's the same thing with animals in the ways that it is, okay? So, anyway, she'll teach me a lot. I will teach her a lot, actually, okay? And then that stuff that I teach her, I can teach people, right? Training. This is what I'm saying, okay? Big stuff to come. There's only one light bulb in this room now, and I've addressed that actually where I have under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but there's actually a spot for 3 light bulbs up here. One of those spots doesn't even have a bulb in it, and then one of the other bulbs is burnt out. There's just one light bulb in here, so the lighting, I get it. It's not like your highest production quality lighting. It doesn't need to be, but I'm just addressing it. I get it, okay? And it's things like that that I'm grateful for. You know, people that do stick around and listen to these things, you know, watch these episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, watch our videos on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, or the other 2 sides, right? In the Image Clothing Company music or In the Image Clothing Company poodles, because we are just, as I say, raw and real, okay? And that's what I mean. When you do come to Poodle Parade events, it's just going to be real. I mean, we're just going to hang out, check out the beautiful nature in Utah, and I'll just give real, like, working information on, yeah, all the things that we do, okay? So, with all that being said, I need to get Nita soon. And when God says soon, well, 1,000 years to God is... It's the opposite end. 1,000 years to us is 1 year to God, is how it's worded in Scripture. Okay, so soon to God, it's right? We're not the ones to determine when soon is, by any means. But soon. Okay. So thank you. That's where I'm going to leave this. Today is the 11th of July, 2025. Stick around for the poodles. Nita will be the first. Stick around for her. She'll be awesome. Poodles are so loving. They're so intelligent. They're kind of attention grabbers. They're clingy, if you will. That's how they word poodles sometimes. Their behavior. They love their owners. They love attention. They love to be right in your face. They love to please you, which is good because that's how we have well-behaved dogs, is they want to follow your commands. And that's good, right? That's one of the big things about poodles. I was thinking about this the other day, mentioning this. I just don't know if I really have under the Image Clothing Company podcast, golly, or just in the Image Clothing Company content in general. Poodles, more so than, other dog breeds, we'll say, because that's the case, love to please their owners. They do. They just want all your attention. And that is almost like a cheat code when it comes to training a dog. That's what makes them such great service dogs and such trainable dogs, and, statistically the second smartest dog breed on the earth today. Okay, second to the Border Collie. I really do like Border Collies a lot. Also, I really do. But, yeah, coming from such a smart dog to begin with, and a dog that is so willing to please their owner, that's one of the big things. Well, that's a combination of two things right there that makes poodles, and we specialize in standard size, the big dogs, right? The big size, full size poodles, such a great dog to have, because they have a lot of natural traits in their genes that they've been bred to have as the breed of a purebred poodle that makes them fairly easy to train genetically. Every dog has its own personality, slightly, right? But yeah, there's just a lot of benefits to standard poodles, more than people might think is how I'm going to word it. Because, yeah, there's a lot that goes into why it's poodles that we have under In The Image Clothing Company, and why we have them at all, and why it's a whole fourth of our company. Okay, just I've given so much context, so anybody who ever thinks maybe that I'm trying to just stretch dogs into our company just so that our clothing sales will improve because we've got cute poodles we can have in our photos, or you know what I mean? I love that I have, that's kind of what I was saying too earlier when I just said I'm so grateful for all the information that I'm documenting as of today's date, because there's so much behind why we're doing this. And now you can know that because I've said it, right? Now you know. Yeah. Darn it, that's crazy, dude. It's awesome. Kids sometimes, can just have a better upbringing if there's dogs in the home. Really, truly. Sometimes a lot of things can be benefited by having dogs. And so I'm going to leave it at that, because I could just sit here and just keep spouting off stuff. There's just good, credible information. But we have a lifetime. Okay, at least, again, Evan Strong's life of In The Image Clothing Company and poodles, specifically for the sake of what we're discussing in this episode of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, episode 145, titled I Need to Get Nita Soon. We're going to just keep discussing this. I'm going to keep laying my bricks of the building of this, okay? We'll have a literal physical building, okay? We'll have a good home to house these dogs, to raise the puppies in. We'll bring the puppies up proper, as I say, right? But Nita will be the first, and it will happen soon in my life. So, there you go. Context over content. An episode of In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, okay? That's one of the titles. And that was my elbow popping. So, there you go, okay? yeah. You got to walk dogs. You have to walk dogs. Walking dogs is one of the biggest things. It's a frustration for people. It's hard for the dogs. The dogs get so punished for doing things that aren't their fault. And a lot of it is stuff that we just don't know how to address. If we don't know how to address as owners of dogs, we will share those things. That's what I mean. At Poodle Parade events, oh my gosh, okay. I mentioned it, talking about hiking, just how to do that naturally as a human being. We can discuss that at Poodle Parade events because it's not separate from the main side of the Image Clothing Company. It's all intertwined. But walking with your dog on any terrain, even just around the block, even just anywhere. There's a lot of stuff, right? Even just heel positions and sitting with your dog. Oh my gosh. I'm going to give as much information as I give in this, okay? Because continuity, you'll see. I knew what I was doing before we did it. Just for the sake of I'm not just doing this for no reason. I'm doing it for a very, 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 very deep, thorough reason, okay? My heavens, this is crazy. Okay. Yeah. I love walking. And we need to be able to walk our dogs. Our dogs need to be able to exercise, but dogs don't need quite as much exercise as a lot of times they're getting. And we'll talk about why that is. Just like human beings, you don't need to work out. You just need to allow your body to work. And we talk about why that is. We'll debunk a lot of things. A lot of people are afraid of getting big dogs because it seems like they need more exercise than they could offer them. Your dog needs attention more than it needs exercise. Your dog needs to just live a natural life to the degree that we can get it. It doesn't need something you can just label as exercise. Just like human beings, we just need to live our lives and be able to physically, mechanically work. We don't need to work out, okay? Oh my gosh. You can feel it. I know it. I know. You can tell. You can tell how deeply this hits. You can tell how deep this goes. This is going to be insane. Truly. I mean, it's going to be nuts. Yeah, dude. Okay. Okay. Hikes. Nature. We'll get people into nature, dogs into nature. Bring your kids, bring whatever you bring, right? I mean, we'll make it clear on what you can't bring. But just come and gather. We will just congregate, I mean, man, just getting together. That's so much of what we do under In The Image Clothing Company. I mean, we wouldn't even have to give any real, information to be able to have Poodle Parade events. What I said earlier about some of them might be this and that, and I mentioned different types of Poodle Parade events, hypothetically in a sense, but yes, at the same time, those will be what they are, the things I said. Yeah, we could have Poodle Parade events where we just come and it's like, hey, all we're really doing at this one is just having a good time. We'll have a beautiful location that we'll come to in Utah, regardless of the weather, right? Unpredictable Utah weather. It doesn't rain very often, but it's either very hot or very cold at times. And sometimes, like the next day, it's like completely different than the day before. Temperature-wise is the biggest thing with that. But yeah, they can just be, come on, let's just have a good time. We'll just hang out. It's not necessarily certain information here. We're not necessarily doing it for a specific, environmental reason for specific events, but just we're just going to get together and just go, experience Utah's beauty. Oh my gosh. This is what's so crazy about it. I just can ramble on and on about the poodles. When I give the intros under In The Image Clothing Company and talk about each of the four sides of us briefly, I could just sit there and talk about In The Image Clothing Company poodles for 5 minutes easily and still have it be brief of what we do under that fourth. Okay, I need to get Nita soon. I need people to see the extent of what purebred standard poodles will be when it comes to In The Image Clothing Company, for the sake of, if you want to know who we are and why we are that. Our 5-word name as a whole. Poodles bring light. They bring love. A lot of times people are down in their lives and they just spend a few minutes around a dog and maybe they smile for the first time that they have in a week. I can't explain fully, just in one episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, the extent of what all this will be and become because of Nita. Really. And we don't need to put too much focus on her because one day she will die. You don't need to put too much focus on me because I'm just the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Somebody else can run this after I die, if they do. But that's what I mean is, I need to get her soon because all the things that I've discussed in here, and then all the things to come that have to do with standard purebred poodles and In the Image Clothing Company, they have to start with her, okay? Just like In the Image Clothing Company in itself. It's not about me, but it had to start with me. I've put all this together up until right now. It's only been me, right? I'm saying that just because it has to start with something. It has to start with one. You have to lay a foundation. And Nita will be so amazing in all that she'll do for me personally. Oh my gosh, I cannot even express. It's just passion that I'm feeling. I'm not mad. For those of you, I know, I get like this, and if you don't know, yeah, you give a little bit of explanation. I'm not mad when I'm like, kind of yelling about things. I'm just passionate because I'm just a kid, dude, and I love the earth. I love God. I love animals. I love nature. I love the beautiful state of Utah. I love the mountains especially. And boy, do we have beautiful mountains here all throughout the state of Utah. These poodles will allow us to do things that can change people's lives emotionally and connect people to other people, connect people to God in ways that we couldn't quite do it without the poodles. That's why we're having them. That's why it is what it is. Oh my gosh. I think it's probably a shock to some. I'm certain it is. If you're listening to this episode and you're like, holy cow, this kid, yeah, he's in this deep. I didn't really realize people are probably saying, I'm certain how much you could do with a dog, and how impactful a dog could be. Yeah, well, I kind of didn't really either. And I don't know the extent of what all this is going to be. I couldn't even dream it up or imagine how much we will do. Because I'll be shocked as well. Okay, through purebred standard poodles. This is one of those moments where I say, I'm uncomfortable with how comfortable I am, It's like, yeah. I'm moving, like shifting around out of comfortability. Gosh darn it. So yeah, okay. So there you go. I mean, even things like family photos, you get sometimes like the cutest family photos when there's a dog involved and something unpredictable happens because it's a dog and it's different than a human being, Oh man. People structure their lives differently when they have dogs. People are more sharing in a lot of ways when they have dogs because dogs love to be loved. And people get more comfortable with giving and receiving love when they have dogs because dogs are, more unconditional in a lot of ways than human beings tend to be. Okay. This is why we're doing this, is these reasons. And this is why it's a need. And why I prefaced it so clear at the beginning so that people didn't click out thinking I was just like ranting about some want I have for some cute puppy who I might just be sick of once it gets too big for me to call a puppy anymore. Okay, you see what I mean? It's a need. It's a lifelong company. It's a lot of movements and a lot of events and a lot of environmental changes, behavioral changes, and all the ways that comes. It's going to be so massive, and Nita will be the first. And for the sake of time reference, where I am in the changing of my physical surroundings, my living situation, my age. I just turned 26 on the 5th of July, just 6 days ago. I need her soon, for the sake of all that I'm going to do in my life from this point forth. It's a need. And part of this is God telling me this through this, not only me telling other people. Because there's this phrase, sometimes God needs to show us how much we love him. He knows we love him, but he needs us to know how much we love him. And me verbalizing all this for the sake of myself hearing it, it's helping me realize how loved I am. To be given information like this on stuff that hasn't happened yet. Yeah, so thank you.